Welcome back to Nerd In. I guess I'm taking the lead on this one. You went completely blank on me there.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Nerd In. I'm Patrick. I am joined by Kris.
Hi.
And today we're doing another episode of Critical Stat.
We're doing wisdom.
They wanted to see us do dex. Anyway, so wisdom. Wisdom as a stat is for a lot of really important abilities in the game and is all about street smarts. Wisdom would be your, I know that if I get hit by that punch, it's going to hurt me. Like, I understand that and I need to get the F out of the way. I understand that a tomato is a fruit, but I do not put it in a fruit salad.
Why not?
Flavor profile. Anyway, if you want to know more about my knowledge of food, check out a video there. I almost did it wrong. So we're going to talk about wisdom and interesting ways that you can play wisdom today. And this will include some, maybe not any character builds per se, but some ideas of ways you could take the stat and make an interesting character out of it. With wisdom, having a high wisdom score helps you with a whole bunch of ability checks. Things like, I'm pretty sure perception is a wisdom score, as well as a couple of others. So wisdom is used by a couple of classes, those classes being Druid, who use it as their primary casting class, as well as Clerics and Rangers. So Druids use it, and Druids get a really interesting spell list, getting a whole bunch of different spells and a whole bunch of different stuff that they can use. Clerics getting access to the strongest forms of healing magic, which is really helpful, as well as a whole slew of crazy spells.
God, some of the classes are stupid.
And then Rangers that get things like resourceful spells like Goodberry. So what are ways that you can be interesting with a high wisdom score? What do you think?
Well, you know, the stereotypical one is the old man in the wizard's tower.
The wizened old man.
Yeah. A fun way to be wise is just, you know most about like how to get around town. You know how to get to...
You understand maps and locations and people.
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily know things, you just understand how people work. So, interesting ways you could play wisdom. Well, the first one, as he alluded to, is the wizened old man. Another really interesting way you could do it is someone that understands how to survive and is very good at that stuff, but is not very smart. You give that person a book.
I can't believe it.
Someone that understands street smarts but can't read. Or
someone that's battle smart, but just doesn't think about anything else.
So with a high wisdom, you can do a low intelligence character, and it could be really interesting on how you would roleplay that. And in mixing those two stats up, what you're doing is you're creating someone that understands a lot, but isn't good at reciprocating that knowledge outward, or maybe can't read, or just a bunch of different interesting ways. The other way you could take it is, what if you make a high wisdom character and a low charisma based character? So what you can do there is, this person understands people and understands how they tick, but is not good at talking to them. So those are interesting ways you can play it. What about for a ranger? What would be some interesting ways you could play ranger with a high wisdom stat?
So your character would know, like normal rangers would, how to survive in the wilderness. Would know how to do everything. Or he could just be that he understands footprints, but he has no idea how to follow them.
That could be a very interesting one. Another thing is he can follow it, but he doesn't understand where it's going. He's not smart enough to piece together that's where they're going. He's just, east, footprint. We go east.
Just footprint.
Another interesting thing you could do is build a ranger that leans heavily, a Beastmaster ranger that leans very heavily into the animal aspect of it. So instead of doing the standard ranger combat stuff, casts spells and uses the beast for everything. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can play wisdom. Wisdom is a very, very useful stat. But what about ways you can play a low wisdom character? What about an egghead that has no idea how to survive? A wizard that has no idea how to survive in the street. If somebody says, you're looking real pretty today, he doesn't understand that person's hitting on them. Thank you. He doesn't understand what's happening. Other ways you could play low wisdom would be a fighter that refuses to dodge attacks. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can play the wisdom stat and have a really good time at the table. Just remember what the classes are. And wisdom, in my opinion, is probably the most important stat for all characters to have a pretty decent score in, because perception is probably the most commonly used ability check in the game. But with that being said, with wisdom, having a whole bunch of fun. Look into different ways that you can play the stat and have fun with it. I recommend you leave us a comment in the comment section below. Let us know some interesting wisdom-based characters that you have.
And next one is intelligence.
Wisdom, intelligence, looks like you don't have either. And until next
You're
time.
goddamn right.
Thank you very much for checking in, but we here at Nerd In are checking out.